Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I am Chris.
Finally.
Hello there, lads. What?
Finally
What?
joined by your brothers.
I'm actually properly joined, but I didn't know where you were going with that. You're just staring at me, and I was like, "This is weird."
We're not used to this.
I don't know where
Face-to-face
to look.
contact.
I'm used to looking. Yeah, I'm supposed to be looking at my screen. Anyway, I am Chris, joined by my brothers Adam and Eric, and we are actually back in the room.
Yes, we are.
To talk
For
more
now.
about video games.
Sort of.
Sort of. Kind of, actually. Yeah, you're right. We're kind of deviating away a little bit, but not really. In that there's been a lot of news going around lately, which has kind of inspired today's topic, which is that not only we've been talking about The Last of Us in the last few episodes, and people have probably heard the news that The Last of Us is being adapted into a HBO TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But then aside from that, we've heard that Fallout is going to be adapted into a show as well. Is it? It's a show, not a movie, is it?
I think it's a TV show.
Yeah, I think it's a TV show. And then Tom Holland tweeted out recently that they've started filming the Uncharted movie. And then The Witcher Season 2, I think, has started filming. There's a whole slew of
that's coming out like Christmas 2021.
information around adaptations, whether it's TV or movies based around video games. Another one has been in talk for a long time is the Metal Gear Solid movie. And we have seen the guy who's directing it has actually, there's an interview out there on YouTube worth checking out where he shows kind of concept artwork for his vision without talking too much about what it is. So for today's topic, we've decided to look at video game based movies, adaptations of games, and discuss which ones we think are our favorite. Like, typically they're not good.
Typically not.
And
no.
that's not even like, you know, because people say so. If you watch them, they're generally not very good. They're kind of like, sometimes they're high budget B movies in a way, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a B movie that got a little bit of a budget. But of the ones that have been made, we're going to discuss which ones we actually like or would class as our favorite of the bunch, and why. What actually worked about that one, which might then work for these other adaptations. We might also talk about which of the adaptations we're maybe somewhat excited for. And then there's another topic that I want to
Why do you
introduce,
think
but we won't.
the
say
movies
that yet.
never turn out like... They never turn out well.
I am very passionate about this topic, actually. And I know... Eric, first of all, why do you think they don't turn out very well?
Well, he asked you. He was looking at you.
I know. Well, I figure
You
he's
were
talking
about
to
to-
all of us.
Yeah.
He's
I'm kind
just
of
looking at
looking
me.
in general direction.
Yeah, he's talking to us, but he's looking at me.
I think it's because, like, if you look at recent examples, they kind of keep, like, I don't know, it seems to be like maybe the producers, executive heads, they kind of go, oh, look, this game is getting really big and this particular game was done well, so when we're doing one, we'll just take it from this, like, all the information from this sequel rather than actually starting from the get-go. Or they start, like, jumping the gun and they don't actually understand why the game is good or why people like it, and they kind of just don't read. They kind of just go, that thing is iconic, we'll just include that.
I
And
think
that's
there's
kind of it.
definitely an element of that. I always feel like they approach video game movies in the same way as they approach comic book movies, in that if we make visual references and use the characters but in whatever order we want, it'll work. And I think that's the flaw. And in my opinion, they should treat, if they're going to make an adaptation of a game, first of all, don't just do any game, because I don't think every game should be adapted. Like, some games work perfectly as games, and some games you're like, this should be seen by a wider audience, and some people just won't play games.
Yeah,
And so
can't
that's
imagine
why.
watching a movie of I Am Mayo.
Yeah,
Like, they did
Like a
one
one
for
where
Need for
Papa
Speed.
Rappa,
Yeah, Parappa the Rappa definitely
yeah,
wouldn't work.
that wouldn't really. So I
Why do you
think
say that? That could be a good children's cartoon.
No.
no, there's not much to it. Like, there's no plot to follow or anything. I think the reason it doesn't work, personally, is that they don't treat the game like a book. I think they should approach it the way they approach movies of books.
Well, a lot of people
Like,
who
this is
love
the-
books also say that they don't.
No,
do
I
them.
don't. Look, I still think that, like, if you make a movie of, say, I know they're doing a TV show, but if you did a movie of The Last of Us,
Right.
I think people will still come out and go, yeah, it was good, but the game was better. In the same way as you'd go, it was good, but the book was better. You know, because you're getting more out of it. Like, you can only fit so much into it.
Yeah.
But in terms of, this is the story, these are the story bits we need to hit, and these are the bits that we can afford to lose. Rather than going, I'm going to take those characters and just totally write my
Just
own
do my own thing.
story.
There's
Yeah.
now
Like, I always
aliens.
come to like the Resident Evil one is an interesting one because you're nearly there. So why the fuck are you bothered? you're like you have a group of people enter a mansion. You have the T-virus. You
Right.
have. Why bother with the super mutant Alice character? Like,
Yeah.
and why bother with these Umbrella executives as opposed to Chris Redfield and Rebecca Chambers and Jill Valentine and Barry Burton and Barry Vickers and Brad Vickers, sorry, all the characters from the actual Resident Evil game, and have Albert Wesker, he's a mole on the team, and there's the twist. You know, it's set up like a film already.
I think it's very clear that, like, you know, because even the movies adapted from books, the ones that are done well, it's clear that the filmmakers are fans of the actual material, so they know
Yeah.
it. They know it inside and out. It's very clear that, like, these people making the films of games don't have a clue what these games are. Not willing to put in the
No.
homework.
Yeah.
They just get the general, like, okay, so who's the main character? What does he look like? Grand, right? I got it. It's there. Vision's there. I've
That'll
got
do.
it.
Yeah.
And also, there's I think there's a lot of disrespect to video game fans. I don't think they take video game fans seriously, like, at all. Like, as in,
I don't think so. I think they kind of think that if they see, it's like as if they, for their research, they go to Comic-Con
and that's it.
and they go, right, if we make a higher budget, version of that fella's costume and put it on a big
We're
fucking
good.
screen, that guy is gonna love this villain. You know, but actually, this has been a really long intro. We should probably cue the music. But there's a basic gist of what our conversation is going to be about. Yeah, let's fucking do it. Okay, so let's burst into it. I think as well what you were saying just beforehand about like the disrespect for the thing, right? I want to preface this by saying I think Tom Holland is an incredible actor, and what I've seen him do, he's got a huge range of emotions. He's really good, but that's a clear example to me of looking at something and like he is too young to be Nathan Drake. He's old enough to do the young Drake thing, but the young Drake thing, to me, is disrespectful. It's like, fucking make Uncharted the way it is. What's wrong with you? It's a perfect cinematic adventure. Tom Holland is too young for the role. Like, I don't want young Drake hanging out with older Sully. Mark Wahlberg is Sully.
Yeah, it's weird. That one's weird.
That's fucked up.
That's a weird one.
And he's he's a really good actor.
Yeah,
Again, it's not about casting good actors. It's about casting the right actor.
Yeah.
He's not the right actor to play Victor Goddamn Sullivan.
I kind of feel like with the Tom Holland thing, it's like they looking at a story of what to do. They probably are looking at, like, okay, what's in between, you know, the when he first met Sully in Uncharted 3. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it's like just after that moment. So, like, in between that moment and leading up to Drake's fortune. And at some point, Tom Holland is going to be the age. Like, I seriously looked at this as, like, you know, if they're wanting to do a James Bond series, essentially, like that much films, it's
Okay.
like, how can they milk this without the need of changing the actor?
Every few years.
That he will eventually be the age
But
of where they want
do you
him to
think
be.
that we won't meet Elena in this?
In this one, I don't think so, no.
But that means they
'Cause
also
I'm
can't
worried.
have monsters or anything supernatural, which has been in 3 of the
Well, you
Uncharteds.
can, because you can just go, let's pretend that his El Dorado adventure. Like,
We've just
I-
talked about
yeah,
them disrespecting
yeah,
games
I don't think
anyway,
they're gonna
so
do, like-
they could absolutely disrespect this whole thing. And
I have a
put
feeling
monsters in.
at this age.
I know, but that's why I brought it up, because that's like, my point was actually that they're furthering disrespecting the kind of whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I think they probably will be looking for El Dorado in this. I actually
You think so?
that probably will be the adventure. I could be wrong,
Maybe.
because it's a good popular one to kind of hone in on first, and it gives you the jungle environment that you kind of expect from an Uncharted. But again, you're like, he's too young.
Or they're going to
He's
do
too young
Atlantis,
for the adventure.
because we were all expecting Atlantis. Naughty Dog
Atlantis.
never did it, and then they're going
Probably
Yeah.
will actually.
Atlantis isn't a
I-
bad one.
I don't really have any faith in that film being. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be Assassin's Creed good.
Yeah, I think it'll be watchable, and you'll
Yeah.
come out and go, that was pretty good. But that's not what I want. I
No.
want that breakout film
Yeah.
that where people can go, like, the idea of making a film based on a video game is no longer laughable. And it's like, you could actually do this right. And I really think the formula is to treat the source material as you would when you're adapting a book.
See, I think Metal Gear Solid has the better chance. Only because, like, Uncharted, it's a fantastic game. We've praised it loads here in this series, but it's so like other things that already exist that it just feels unoriginal in a movie format. Whereas
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid has enough uniqueness to it that it can stand its own. So I think that has the better shot of being that, breakthrough
Yeah.
movie adaptation.
I have
Otherwise
high
it's
hopes
just
for
gonna be
Metal
TV
Gear
shows.
Solid, but like some of the artwork, like as cool as it was, I was a bit worried. I was like, I should not be like, you shouldn't even look at geckos. Don't even look at that shit. You're jumping, you're doing that thing where it's like, as long as there's visual references
shit
to
in
the
there.
series, it's like, fucking concentrate on just the first one.
We have
Just
no
the
idea.
first
Yeah,
one.
we have no idea if they're even
Why
going to be in it though.
I know that, but
Like, we
it's
do
just-
see concept art where it's like,
yeah. It's just
it never made it in.
I would just like to see, like, why bother get an artist to
Because that
concept
artist,
draw that
I'd
stuff,
imagine that artist
you
just got like, oh my god, I get to draw Metal Gears, and he just drew them all.
yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. Can we have Ray and Rex and the Chocolate?
Unless it's like the same idea as like Peter Jackson designed Lord of the Rings. Like he's designing the long haul.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe he's like pitching for a series.
Yeah, so he's pitching to do all of them. So he's like, here's Eric's concept art for the first
I just
one.
have
Here's our concept
I don't know. I just worry a
This
little
is
bit
why
'cause-
you should never ever get rid of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like no one's gonna greenlight this as a series yet.
No, it needs
No
to be
matter
sourced
how
from
good
it.
it is.
Yeah.
No matter how good his vision is, because they just have no faith in video game movies, and they could be good. You just have to.
I don't know, Resident Evil did pretty well.
The series, I think it did well for a different reason.
It's a zombie movie.
But as well, I think people like to laugh at it, and I think people like to go, "This is so shit. It's good." You know, like, this is just good crack.
The last one was so shit.
The last one is absolutely atrocious.
It was so
it's
funny.
really bad.
so funny. The entire plot was.
We went to the cinema and we were like, I can't actually believe that this is what they've decided to finish this whole thing off with. Like, this is ridiculous. Who is the villain? What is the end game of Umbrella here?
And the camera work just alone was.
So actually,
horrendous.
now that we've
3D?
brought up
I don't know.
the films,
Yeah.
maybe we should actually go around and talk about the ones that of all the films that are out there. We've mentioned that they don't really work,
No.
but we could say which ones we kind of like and which one would be our favorite if we had to pick one, and why. What about it worked?
It's kind of hard because I haven't seen them all. So
Oh yeah, no, obviously
There's a lot.
Only of the ones we've seen, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be. So someone could go, well, you clearly haven't seen this thing, which is amazing.
Which to
I think
be
as well,
right.
because we were talking about like The Last of Us and Fallout are going to be TV shows. I think TV shows need to come into the talk here as well. So it's any live adaptation or animated adaptation, because there are a couple of animated films based on their adaptations. But I don't think they count if they're tie-ins with the actual.
Yeah, okay,
video
so that's
game
one point, because
series.
when we were discussing this topic, and one of you brought up the Witcher TV show
Yeah.
that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
technically wouldn't count because that's based on the books, not the games.
well, it's very based on the games, though, isn't it?
Visually, yeah, I think you could make an argument for both.
I mean,
It's definitely
I don't.
based on
I don't
both.
think Geralt looks like that in the book technically because it's written. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much
But then
of
is
that
that
is
how he's
inspired.
described?
Yeah,
though?
Well, he
Like,
may
yeah,
be
he's
described that way, but he's
Yeah.
so bang on to the game.
But maybe the game has the description bang on. I don't know. I've never read the
How
books. I don't
detailed
know.
is that written?
Do you know? Like, there's only so many ways you can
Well,
do a Hobbit.
I
you know what I mean?
like it's so clearly based off the games as well. Like,
Well,
I mean,
yeah, they took
There's
inspiration.
definitely influence there.
Yeah.
Definitely
I
influence.
think
but I was just saying.
You could decide to throw that in there if you wanted. If you were
Yeah.
like, no, that is my favorite one, and I know it's based on a book more so, but it is also an adaptation of a game too.
I just thought I would raise that point.
It's
That's a fair point.
And
Yeah,
you could
thank you.
decide I don't want to include it because for me it's more of a I would count it more as an adaptation of a book than I would a game or whatever. But who wants to go first? It's like, does
Sure.
anyone have a? Yeah, go for it.
I don't know.
Nice, good talk, bro.
can't, like, cause there's none that really. I feel like even the Witcher, like as well as it's done, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. So it's really, yeah. There's actually none so far that I have enjoyed. I think the only one where I kind of went, yeah, that's pretty bang on. Is probably the first Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, it's not the events of a game, but she's so like that character, even more so than the newest one.
Yeah, I gotta just say, not to jump in, but that one has been on my mind. Angelina Jolie, born for that role.
Yeah, really good.
They casted her so well. Like, that's Lara Croft. Like, the second she's on the screen, you're like, that's Lara Croft for the PS1 era anyway.
Yeah, and the movie is like not a great film, but it's not a great film because it didn't pay tribute well to the game. It's not a great film because it's not a great film. Like, it's different than like the Resi films, for example. Like, apart from them not being a good film, it's not even a good adaptation. Like, it's not even close to the games, really. Like, there's some of them that are, like, I think 2 is probably the closest.
Yeah.
2 and 1 are definitely the closest, and then it
yeah,
flies way away from it.
it goes way off. But yeah, probably the first Tomb Raider, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's a few others that I think are pretty damn close, but I think the top for me is probably Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
For me, it'd have to be Mortal Kombat.
Straight in. Look at you. Straight in.
Well, yeah, I thought we were doing this.
There's no fucking time waste for you, man.
Well, you can't have
Let's
silence.
go.
You can't have silence on this sort of stuff, man. Right? Can't have silence. If dead air,
You can fill the silence with thoughts, like.
What?
Okay, so
But you can't hear thoughts. They're in your head.
you can think out loud, like. I think I trained out a song about it. What you like about Mortal Kombat?
But sure, it's just a game. It's beat for beat the game.
It's pretty close. I would say
Mortal
it's probably
Kombat
the
is good
closest
crack.
adaptation.
And let's face it, right? That the soundtrack to Mortal Kombat is better than any piece of soundtrack in any of the games.
That's fucking bitching.
Yeah,
that
it's good.
soundtrack, actually, I have beef with it. That soundtrack made me buy the new game. Like,
Oh yeah, because they use
remember
it
to
for
put it in the
marketing.
trailer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they
And
did
I was
a
like,
really good
that
version.
is incredible. That looks epic. And I was like, if that's in the game, I'm gonna be so pumped. It's not. It really should be. There's a moment where like there is a big battle, and you're like, if they use that,
Right
and it was
now.
like a re-edited version of music where they kind of had it reorchestrated,
Yeah.
and it was so good. I was like, if they use that right now, this would be like. It's strange how it's the same game, but the music can really affect your enjoyment of something. Like, I think we've all stood by that.
It's odd that they've just shied away from that.
Well, if they were
Some
able to
do,
use
yeah,
it in the
that's even-
marketing, they obviously have rights to use it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not throw it in the game? Like, it's
I don't know.
And adapt it. Do it differently. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the game's great. They follow the plot. The characters go to Shang Tsung.
How's the movie though? You said the game's great.
Does it? Well, the
Yeah.
game is great, but the film is better because it follows the game.
Did you know it was a game when you first saw the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played the game first, I think.
No way, I definitely didn't.
I definitely did. Yeah.
I
It
actually-
used to be that the arcade in Kirklow. They
I
used
was
to have
actually-
Mortal Kombat.
Did they have Mortal Kombat? I remember there was another game out there. It's another
Street
oh,
Fighter.
what was it called? No, it didn't go very far. There was like you could play as like a lava guy, and you could play as like a Native American character, and it was kind of like a rip off of. I think it was trying to be like the next Mortal Kombat. I don't think there was very many of them. They didn't do very well, but I remember playing that. But anyway, I heard about Mortal Kombat from my friend Danny. He gets a lot of shouts out here. We were in the yard in school, and he it was a movie that he had watched on TV the night before or something. He's like, it's deadly, man. There's all these immortals, and there's like warlocks, and there's So I just thought it was like this cool. I actually remember thinking it was something along the lines of Big Trouble in Little China.
Kind of has those vibes.
It kind of has those vibes.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I definitely had seen that film before I saw
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. So I liked that film. I remember every time it was on TV, I was like, this film's great. It's fucking nuts.
There's something about like kung fu movies that get away with
being cheesy.
Yeah, being that kind of like B movie style. To
Oh
them.
yeah.
Well, because
Yeah.
you're watching it for the choreographed, like for the fights, like.
Yeah, but they can relish in all that kind of weird shit as well, like.
Yeah.
So, but I just because it is beat for beat the game. It's the whole plot is the exact same.
It's pretty close.
The special effects are actually really good.
No, they're really not.
They're the Goro. What are you talking about? The prosthetics for Goro was great.
Isn't he?
They're not bad.
He's a model. He's not really.
Either way, it's
isn't
great,
he-
man.
He's just.
Yeah, I don't think he looks that bad. I think Reptile is the only
Reptile
one where it
is
looks
brutal.
pretty
Reptile's
terrible.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But when you compare, like, you can tell that movie had a budget, and then you see the second one, and you go, "What happened here?"
What the hell? Yeah. Annihilation is
like they greenlit this, and they clearly didn't believe in it. Like,
I don't know.
yeah, and Annihilation is
being
beat.
the second one.
Annihilation is beat for beat the games,
No.
Eric. So what is it that sets the first one apart?
Cool. The second one is it just doesn't exist, Adam. They only ever had a first one. There's only
I
ever
wonder
one.
did they name it Annihilation after they saw it? And we have annihilated this series before it even got off the ground.
I love that Johnny Cage dies within the first like few minutes
because they have a different actor and they just don't like him.
Yeah.
They're like, there's no
Just
way we can
kill him
keep this
off.
guy on screen.
Literally everyone is different except for Liu Kang.
And
I will
Katana.
say, of that first Mortal Kombat movie, actually, and actually it is an enjoyable watch as far as video game adaptations go. Like, it's pretty good. And you know, some of the casting is fine, some of it's lame, but Shang Tsung,
The man.
unreal. The second
legend.
he goes, "Your soul is mine,"
Yeah.
you're like,
They-
yes,
They brought him back for the games.
they did, because you're like, that guy is just definitively Shang
He's Shang
Tsung.
Tsung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But the actor, I think the actors in the first one
definitely
are pretty.
pretty good.
No, well they're alright. Like, but
No,
they're-
as in they're pretty good for those characters.
Yeah.
Not actually good.
it's like they feel less. Like I think the second one feels like okay. So when are they gonna start taking off their clothes? Like I've been like an hour into this.
What do you mean?
What,
Like,
this isn't the
like
porno?
a porno parody or something?
That's what the
Mortal
second
Kombat?
one feels like. You know, the first one doesn't feel so much like that. It just
No. The first one feels like they're really trying. Like
They
it's,
actually
yeah.
gave a shit.
let's really make this film and let's make it fun and make it
yeah.
full of combat and weird characters and they did. The plot is the plot. Is that Raiden?
The only thing they really got wrong was Scorpion, I think.
Well, yeah, they made him
Well,
a
he was
sidekick with
fine.
Sub-Zero as opposed to.
And then he also had the weird alien.
But I think
plant
as
things
well-
that came out of his hands.
An interesting about fighting games, and we haven't actually spoken about very many on this, even though like I don't know about you, like I've played quite a lot. I know we've played some, but I actually quite enjoy fighting games. I'm never very good at learning all the moves,
No.
but I like characters, and fighting games are full of characters who are their own protagonist in their own story. Like there's loads of characters that you can pick and choose from. And in that sense, when you're making a movie based on a fighting game, I think you kind of have to, like, Scorpion is obviously the most iconic Mortal Kombat character and most people's favorite, right? Him and Sub-Zero, that's usually the debate.
Yep.
But when you're thinking about the grander scheme of the story, you know, you're like, Scorpion's tail, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of, like, you know, like, we need to focus on Liu Kang and we need to focus on, you know, the Shaolin monks taking on the forces of Outworld and saving the Earth and all. So we can't really fit in Scorpion's backstory and the fact that he wants to kill Sub-Zero and he's trying to avenge his family and
Which
he's a
they do in the
specter of the
second one, by the way.
Netherrealm and what? No, they
They do what? Yeah, they do.
Sub-Zero. They have him. He's a good guy
Yeah,
in the
trying to
sequel.
kill Scorpion.
trying to kill Scorpion. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they don't give Scorpion really. They still don't delve into his backstory in any kind of way.
Well, that's because they butchered the second one, so they didn't really have a chance.
But they did. Do you
There
remember
is going to
do you
be
remember
another
the,
one though.
Yeah, there is. That's another. Actually, that is another franchise that's
Are
been
they?
rebooted.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Mortal Kombat movie.
Huh.
I can't remember the name of the
on
actor,
the
but
way.
you remember the guy who played? He was in Lost. He was also in The Last Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
Is he doing Shang Tsung?
Scorpion.
I would have cast him as Shang Tsung.
Okay.
I think he would
I
have made a
would.
really
I
good Shang
would.
Tsung.
I think he's
I would
I
get
think
Shang
it's
Tsung to
Scorpion.
play Shang Tsung.
No,
I don't think they'll reuse the same actors though. But
Christopher Lambert better return.
I actually don't know who would you cast as Lord Raiden in a modern adaptation of Mortal Kombat.
I don't
But I remember. Do you remember the? I was so like I was well
Mortal-
into it. Yeah, that's one where they didn't adapt it directly, but it's a cool. Remember they did like They had Michael J. White, and it was like a short film.
The YouTube one?
And it was like let's do a grounded Mortal Kombat thing where Scorpion's going to be the main character. He's going to enter this underground, violent, like fighting ring.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. That's better than any adaptation of Mortal Kombat.
That alone actually is my favorite. Does that count?
I guess so.
I don't know if it would be my favorite because it's short and sweet and it's kind of a taste.
But there was a YouTube series based after, like, that followed it. Same actors.
Yeah,
and it was
but
just
no, they changed up though. They didn't go for the
it
grounded.
was like
vibe at all.
Annihilation nearly. It was just fucking.
It felt really cheap.
It was like they got the green light and then they changed the concept. And I was like, why did you do that? Because the concept was what got green lit.
It was Ed Boon who wanted to use it.
He wanted to
as
tie it in
promotion.
with the games more. Yeah. And I get that, but at the same time, like that was such a solid, amazing idea.
That is one of those weird ones where they did completely change it, and it worked because like, when they did the Tekken movie, they had like based in like a post-apocalyptic world, and it was just like,
dystopian
why
future.
would you bother? And it was shit.
Yeah.
There's some of them as well where you go, why did you make that? Do you know, like, there's some, like, do you ever see, like, there's some games where you're like, okay, this needs a film version, right? Not that it should replace the game, but like, people need to see this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like people need to see Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Right? And if they won't play it, then it needs to be a movie because it's just incredible and it's so in depth. You know, or it's like I'd love our parents to see The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Right? They won't play it. They won't even watch someone play it. So it needs to be a movie or a show. Well, I don't agree with the show, but anyway, the I don't even know where I was going with that now. I've totally lost what I'm on about.
Whatever it was you're saying, it was
Whatever
grand
I was
anyway. It was
saying.
gold.
Whatever I was trying to say, I've lost it, so it doesn't matter. So, no, that's what I was going to say. Sorry. Dead or Alive.
Oh, yeah.
Why the fuck was that made? And nobody could turn around and say, it's good though.
Or even like...
It's not.
Like, I think the Super Mario one is one where why would you bother make that one as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird. They did like aliens and shit.
They did dinosaurs. It's super. It's Mario and his...
Was that to try and tie in with Yoshi or something like that?
Maybe.
I don't know.
But they went to an alternate Earth because Luigi is like his son or something like that. They're not even plumbers, and they go through this pipe to follow a girl who's not even is it Peach?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even Peach. I don't think it's any of the fucking females from from the Mario.
From Mario.
From
Peach is the only one I think.
The real name is Peach. I'm not even going to bother. Anyway, and they go in and it's like they're dinosaurs, but they're humans because they're wearing like human face masks and shit like that. That's fucking weird.
Yeah. I haven't actually watched it, but I've seen footage. Yeah, it is weird.
It's weird.
But I just wanted to highlight like that some of the games that they've adapted into films, it boggles me as to why the fuck is that? Like, why did you think that
like Need for
needed to
Speed.
be a film?
Need for Speed.
Why is Need for Speed a movie? There's Fast and Furious.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Well, that feels like they were just making another kind of Fast Furious movie, but if we tie on, like, you could just slap a name on it. Oh yeah, hello Pippin. Pippin the dog is back. You probably can't see her.
But Street Fighter is class.
Oh, well, I actually just wanted to. I was going to give a shout out to Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter.
It's not my favorite one, but Street Fighter is actually gas. Like that is some. I remember really enjoying that as a kid.
Again, that's another one where there's like, look, this is the story. We'll just do that, and
It's just good crap. But I feel really bad for the guy who played Bison.
Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah,
Like he really
gave it his all. Yeah,
like it's not a bad performance.
No.
It's a cheesy performance, but he was playing it up. He was hamming it up.
The game and film are cheesy.
There's a great moment in it where he's talking. Remember, he's talking to Chun-Li, and she's been like looking to hunt him down her whole life, and it's been her whole mission. Actually, this is kind of like a point from like The Last of Us kind of thing, the whole NPC type thing. Like, so her whole mission has been to hunt him and kill him for destroying her family, and he says something along the lines of, "My dear child, I feel sorry for you." He's like, the most important day of your life, the day Bison entered it, was just another Tuesday for me. It's a really good moment where it's like,
it's good.
I don't remember that at all. Like that means nothing to me because I've done what you've experienced. I've done that to loads of people.
Yeah. Must be hundreds of views.
Yeah. It's like, it's no bother to me. But the way they integrated so many of the different characters, that's a fun movie.
Yeah,
that is
I always thought Street Fighter was a good crack.
Like if that was on, I wouldn't be like, fuck's sake, turn this shit off. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a fun one.
But I think it's different though,
So
because
is
like
Mortal
when you think
Kombat.
about the age that we watched those films at, like
That's important too.
that is really important. Because could you imagine if
That's a factor.
imagine going to the cinema and paying for Street Fighter?
Yeah.
It might be a very different story. But Street Fighter is like, imagine it's the room with Kung Fu.
Ah, no. no,
The
it's
room isn't that bad.
no, stop. What? No. Street Fighter
It's a bit
is
like the room.
No, it's more passable than that. Come on. Fuck off. Get the fuck.
Jean-Claude Van Damme playing an American soldier. That makes sense.
Yep.
It's a good film.
He's the Tommy Wiseau of that movie, like.
Ken and Ryu.
Yeah.
They're unreal.
Anyway, what was yours?
Yeah, what's
Right, what was mine? Well, yeah, I did want to talk about those. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, I always enjoyed. When I was younger, I enjoyed Resident Evil 1 and 2. I remember I found Resident Evil 1 scary the first time I saw it, and I was kind of scared to watch it.
Actually,
Um,
there's a point to
but
point out
Apocalypse was pretty good.
with Resident Evil 1, right?
What's that?
That is scary as fuck, like.
Well, at moments. If you
Is
don't
it?
like zombies, it's a bit creepy. There's creepy imagery. I don't think
Yeah.
it's...
I mean, like-
that's very scary, but
But there's the way, like, in the movies, the setup, you have to shoot them in the head to kill them, right? Destroy the brain and they die.
Yes, yeah.
And you know the bit when they first meet a horde?
Yes.
Right, they're completely surrounded. They're in some weird dark server room, and they're all coming. And one of them's even dragging like an axe, and like
Yes.
I think one of them
half the
has
face
their
is
head
gone and
cut in
stuff.
half.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, how are you alive? Your head's cut in half. Your brain is destroyed.
Yeah,
Moving
yeah,
on.
okay, good
So
point. It's like,
that
that's
immediately
fucking bullshit.
sets
That movie is bullshit. You know what? Yeah, I changed my mind. I hate it.
yeah,
So that
I
immediately
never,
sets up,
I
like,
never
that's the
ever liked the first Resident Evil, but I did like Apocalypse in terms of how it relates. I do think that's closer to the games than the first one,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not
because the
hard.
first one is like there's a mansion.
Yeah. But the second one is like...
That's it. Like,
yeah, you know, no, I get what you're saying. But
Yeah.
the second one's like, there's a city.
no, but the second one with the fact that it does have Jill and does have Carlos and it does have Nemesis, like
Okay,
I think-
so it has a couple of characters.
yeah, that's definitely more than what the first one has.
I don't know. Like, I think they're both pretty... They're as close as each other. You know what I mean? Like, they're still not
Well, it has
an
Ashford
actual
as well, doesn't it?
adaptation.
In
That's
the
They
second
use
one,
the name Ashford.
That's another thing that makes those 6 films absolute dog shit.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Each film changes the reason why the virus is made.
Yeah, oh yeah, they don't know their own canon. They
No.
change the plot
Every time.
movie. But yeah, I enjoyed them when I was younger. But I do think of all of them, the best actual film, I would agree is the Tomb Raider, Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
Lara Croft.
first one though, not
The first one. No, the
not
second one is not very good. But the first one, you know, like they have the character down.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, and that for me was really, that's what sets it above the rest. Really, is that they understood the character in that she's fun, she's intelligent, she's beautiful, she's kick ass. But then she does have this sort of, you know, they got the plot down about her looking for her father.
yeah.
Now, yes, they made up the adventure and they changed around who killed her father and all, but I actually found that plot quite compelling. I wasn't too familiar with the games. I was familiar with the character, but not necessarily the actual plot of the game. So I remember seeing that and I just really enjoyed the film. I got sucked into it. And I always loved that scene where she's in like the kind of... I don't know where in the world it is. I know it's in Asia, but I don't know where.
Cambodia.
It's Cambodia, isn't it?
She adopted, I think, her first child there.
Did she?
I think so.
Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
Wow. But I love that temple sequence.
Yeah,
And then
it's
when the
good.
statues come to life and shit, that for me, I was like, this is like really riveting to watch. Like, this is actually really
And I
fun.
think they definitely have the relationship between her and her dad better than what they did in the new one.
The new one, right? That's another one where I was like, you're so close. What are you doing?
See, this is kind of the main point where I'm like,
They even have a character named Matthias. And it's like, if you actually just did Matthias from the game,
It
as
would be
in, like,
good. It would be good.
that would be good. If it was just a cult of survivors on the island. Like, you're so close. Why the fuck are you trying to tie in stuff that's coming later in the series?
But-
just stick to one. Stick to one.
that's my point. Like that they look like, oh well, Trinity is trending. We best put Trinity in. It's like, no, you don't. Just follow the beats of the game.
Yeah.
You're
If
on-
it does
you're on the
well,
island.
do a standalone island survival thing, and if it does well, great. You'll get greenlit for a sequel. Now bring in Trinity and do the second. You know.
Yeah, I do feel like with the first Tomb Raider, like the the new one is like obviously trying to follow the events of that 2013 game.
Yeah.
And they think that that's enough, but they lost the character.
I
think
felt
that's
that
what
way.
is important with the or what why I think the Angelina Jolie one is good is because the events didn't take place. They never happened. But she's almost like Batman in terms of like kind of her emotion, like her motivations. You know, she comes from wealth, doesn't really care for it.
Yeah,
you know, she's trying to be this other thing, and she uses this almost like a facade, nearly.
Yeah,
like she has
thirst
this
for adventure.
yeah, and purpose, but she's just trying to get closer to her dad. And that's what's important, the character. As long as you have that, you can literally put her on any adventure. It doesn't matter as long as that's the core of the story. And it's a lot like the Batman stories. Like, no one ever looks at the Christopher Nolan films and says, well, that never fucking happened, because they have the character down.
I thought as well, and like, you know, this comes down to preference in some ways, but I remember when Alicia Vikander, is that her name?
Yep.
When she was cast. Now, first of all, she's a really good actor. And
Yeah, no,
she's
she is.
really committed, and she is fucking strong. Like, she puts a lot of physicality into what she does, into her job. But I just felt personally that when I saw Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft, I was like, that's Lara Croft. And when I saw Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft, I went, that's Alicia Vikander. I could not see the character. I don't think she looks like Lara Croft.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, having the same color hair is not enough, I don't think. There's more to it, and I just don't think, I couldn't see Lara Croft at all.
Yeah, I would be interested to know why was she the right actor for the role in their eyes, in the creators' eyes.
Yeah.
I'd love to know why that was. Because I was watching Inferno recently enough again. I don't really
Tom Hanks one?
Yeah, I don't really like the film or anything like that, but
I actually enjoyed it.
trying to remember the actress's name in it. Felicity Jones. I actually kind of feel like she would have been good for the kind of the 2013 modern Tomb Raider, because there's something about her that's like there's strength there, but there's also a little bit of like almost like there's fragility to it, nearly.
Yeah.
I think she would have done a good job, because like even with Rogue One and stuff, I think she had a really good performance.
She was really good in that. She had a lot of charisma and everything.
But I think she would have like fit that role a bit better for that newer Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
We
So
should write these.
that's a cool
stuff.
story.
That's a great story, bro. We should write that down. We'll put it right on the fridge where everyone can see. But yeah, I'd be curious as to what other video game adaptations people think would be like the best of the lot. Like, I think I'm not sure how
Everyone
well
has their favorites for different reasons, and I imagine for most of them it's just because when they watched them they had a good time.
yeah, as well. But I wonder like how well Assassin's Creed went down, for example, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not miles and
wasn't
miles away from it, but it's still
too
not
bad.
You know.
Yeah, there was actually moments of that I actually really liked the kind of the actual assassin side of it.
Yeah.
Not the
I think some of it was certainly shot well. Like, it was made like an
Yeah.
actual film.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, that's a lot to praise.
It's very weird that when they were making that film, that the assassin past part of it was the shortest part of the movie, considering in all the games that's the longest part of the game. It's actually the assassin.
I suppose you get a director on board who doesn't necessarily care for the games, maybe, or maybe they did. I don't know, but you know, they might have been like, the thing that's drawing me to this more is the storyline of the character outside of the Animus. You know, Doom. Do you remember?
I was just about to mention Doom.
Doom
was good crack.
Good crack. That bit where he just goes nuts and it goes first person for a while, and you're like, this feels like the whole movie was just a setup for this scene.
Yeah. The thing is with Doom though, like literally give it any other title.
Yeah.
And it's its own film. Like there's nothing in that.
Yeah, right.
That's Doom. Like nothing in it.
The gun, yeah. None of the designs.
Yeah, but man, it goes first person though.
He has the BFG, and that's about it.
Yeah. But you see, this is what we're saying. Like, they're not.
And even the BFG, it's the wrong color as well.
They make video game movies, and they're not actually adaptations of the actual thing.
What?
It's not very color like. I mean, it's just not good then. It's
Yeah,
not the
man,
right
like
colour.
I mean, in the game, like when you're firing and it's this big giant green plasma thing that destroys everything's play. It's like, sorry, that's really kind of if you're going to go with an iconic weapon,
tell you,
and
man,
only one
I
iconic
think
weapon.
like the color of the gun wasn't the right color.
No,
or
it's kind of
something.
like, does it ever bother you when you're watching Advent Children and he summons with blue materia?
Yes.
Yeah, like that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah,
when,
yeah.
little things like
But
that.
I-
Where it's like,
But I feel like if that was a live adaptation, it would annoy me less. But it's like, this is an animated feature made by the guys who made
this is supposed to be the
fucking
sequel
game.
to the game.
You're like, lads,
yeah.
come on.
That shit
Everyone's
should
saying
be-
it. And then they released another version with extra scenes and, they updated and they still didn't change it. You're like, have you not read everyone's, like everyone who has played the game is saying, that's the wrong materia.
Yeah, not correct.
No, it's not correct. Out of curiosity, before we move on then, how do you guys feel about The Last of Us being turned into a HBO show as opposed to a movie? Because at first they were talking about it being a movie.
Yeah, we were talking. I'm only concerned now just because of The Last of Us Part 2.
That's interesting. Why?
Because I'm wondering, why did he bring on a TV show writer as a collaborator all of a sudden?
Do you think she's going to work on it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
And I'm not sure. Like, maybe it'll work better for TV, but I wasn't impressed with the writing for The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And so, if that's the type of writing I'm going to get, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy the show.
Right, yeah.
So, I was way more excited when it was going to be a film.
Yeah.
Because I think you can tell that story and condense it like that. I think, if it's going to be a TV show, it means, well, how many seasons is there going to be?
That's my worry.
How are they going to draw this out? Are they going to introduce new characters? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want it to become Lost.
Yeah.
You
Well,
want
this
it to,
is
you just-
or The Walking Dead. Sorry
Yeah.
now, like I really enjoy The Walking Dead, but it does feel like it's not going to end. They've even gotten to a point now, spoiler alert, where they've killed off Rick Grimes, but the show is continuing. I mean, he's the main character. It was his story as far as I was concerned. I was like, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm watching him on DVD, but as soon as he's dead, for me, I'm clocking out. Not that I'm like disregarding the work of the show, or it's like I'm not doing like a Last of Us 2. It's like Joel's dead, so I'm not playing anymore. But I just feel like I want the show to end. So I'm like,
Okay.
I'm going to watch to that point. And for me, that's where the show ends then.
Yeah.
'Cause who are you following then? Or what's the end game? If you're just going to keep making, there's no happy ending here.
They're going to go back in time to
That's
to
the
fix
end
it
game.
all, yeah. That's
See,
the
where I
end
can
game.
We're in
see
the end game
where I
now.
can see the Last of Us TV show, like they said it is going to be. They've said that the Last of Us is always about Joel and Ellie. Now I don't know
If that's true
what the
anymore.
fuck- yeah, like that could be them just pulling their leg.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping that it's going to be stories like, like the letters you pick up as you play the game.
Mm.
It's there, like those tales, like show us what happened.
But then make a Last of Us movie separate to that. And let this just be a spin-off TV
like
show.
no, I think
Do you
just
know what I mean?
if you're going to stick with a TV show, it'd be grand. Like I just do that, like a supplement to the game. That's fine.
Yeah. But I would like the tale of Joel and Ellie to be turned into a movie. I would like that. And I don't want that to be a TV show. Because it's like you said, the problem with Lost, right? And I was actually watching a recent interview with Damon Lindelof.
I think I saw that.
He
Exactly
talks a lot about it, right?
Yeah.
Where he was like, we really wanted to end the
Season
show.
3, yeah.
Right? We wanted it to be 3 seasons. We set up the mysteries and then we answer everything and finish it, right? And the problem was the studio did not want the show to end. They're like, are you crazy? It's doing really well. Like, keep the show. You don't end TV shows. You keep them going until they die. And they were like, well, this is a problem for the kind of show we're trying to make.
Yeah.
It needs an ending. So then what they're doing is they're just writing and making up new mysteries because they're like, we don't know how long. We have to keep this going and we have to keep them on the island and we have to keep coming up with interesting dilemmas for them. We have to keep coming up with and then even it's like if we make them leave the island, we're going to have to make them come back to the island. You know, it's like that was the big problem with Lost. And then they ended up getting in when I think it was when they got to season 3 and there was about 6 episodes of Sawyer and Kate in a cage.
Yeah.
Is when the studio actually sat down to talk to them. It's like, okay, we see the problem here. And they're like, yeah, we're writing shit like this or making up a whole episode about Jack's tattoos to fucking keep this show going. We need an ending. So then they're like, okay, how about you tell us like how many more seasons you got to do? They're like, 4 seasons. We want to end it in the next season. And then they went, how about 9 seasons? No fucking way. And they had to cut. That's what. And then they settled on 6 was the compromise. But it's that same thing. It's like, if you're gonna make a show of The Last of Us, how long? Like, that's TV shows don't sit well with me, most of them, because they go on way too long and you've too much filler.
Yeah.
You know, have a finite ending. It's like, I'm getting a bit worried about Stranger Things. I'm like, I'm hoping they know that either this season or the following season are the last seasons, because the kids are getting older. Like, well, how long are you gonna go on with this?
Yeah.
You know. What do you think, Eric? Do you like the idea of The Last of Us being a TV show?
As long as they don't do the story of Joel and Ellie. So actually, I'd be agreeing with Adam, where if they just do other people's story. I think if you just start from the get go, right? So
This should be your catchphrase.
I say it a lot, don't I?
Yeah.
From the get go.
From the get go, right?
This should be like just a big compilation video of just you saying that.
I'm not editing that. I'd have to listen to all the rest of it again just to find every moment he does that. Fuck that.
But like, you know, like with the start of The Last of Us, you know, it starts with Joel and Tommy and Sarah escaping and everyone getting ripped apart.
Yeah.
But obviously choose different characters in a completely different place, in a completely different part of the world, maybe even.
That can kind of feel like a Telltale show, though, no?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like you're doing Outbreak Day from someone else's perspective and then living out their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just...
So would you
better
rather,
than
like,
just trying to drag
would you rather
Joel
every
and Ellie's
episode was different characters? And it's like
possibly, but I just think
closed off story
I think
within
fleshing out the character, like I said, what's his name even? When you're going through the sewers and you're reading.
Oh, that's right. When you're with Henry and Sam.
Yeah. What are those letters?
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, if you collect
they
them
have
all,
the little town and everything.
Yeah, like
little,
let's
but then
check
I
them
wonder,
out.
you see, if they follow Joel and Ellie's story, they might change that to the fact that you do meet those people, and they will tell that story through that. But
Maybe.
I would rather like. So
is
the first game season 1 or is the first game multiple seasons? Like, it's just, I'm a bit worried about that. Like, I like those characters. I would like to see them in a really well told movie rather than a show.
It just seems like, if I'm just trying to piece it together, like why bring on a TV show writer for the second game? And I just feel
makes sense to me that
I feel like that's why they're doing it, and that's the bit that has me worried, is that I don't necessarily think that was well told, and I don't know if
it makes sense to me that she's either going to work on it with him or he was looking to learn a few things from working with her.
I think both really.
So whatever form that is. But I mean, if her job is to work in writing television, she's probably looking for the next project anyway. So if she's asked to do it, I'm sure she'd sign on. And I think she probably enjoyed.
Did you watch Westworld?
Watched the first season of Westworld and then a couple of episodes of season 2.
Was it good?
What's
first
the writing
season,
like?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The actual, like, the setting up of the plot twists and everything, and the way it goes from is amazing.
Yeah, so it might do a good job, because like I suppose her realm is TV show, so it might actually work out well. But actually, don't know what the story's going to be.
Isn't that interesting? That like I didn't know she had worked on it, and one of the comparisons I was making when playing The Last of Us 2 was like, this feels like a TV show,
yeah.
but the structure is all wrong or something. Like, and that was some of our big problems. And it feels kind of episodic as opposed to, so it's like, I don't know, like, she's writing her realm, and it was taken away a little bit from Neil Druckmann's realm, which is writing game structures, which he did really well on The Last of Us and Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she took over the project. I'm sure he was probably like saying, "Oh yeah, please do that and tell me how you do it." And he's looking to learn. I think. But yeah, it's just interesting. We were talking there about movie adaptations of video games and how generally they're dog shit, right?
Yeah,
generally
that is that's
in a word, dog shit. But
putting it lightly,
video game adaptations of movies are also dog shit. They tend to be bought for kids as presents, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever have one, it's usually bought for you by like an aunt or uncle. I'm not actually talking from experience, but like it's usually bought as like a.
No, you were.
No, but it's like you'll remember.
Yeah.
They're usually bought as like, you saw that film and you liked it, so I got you the game of it, right? And they're usually terrible.
And it's normally because
as well.
the film is aiming in some way to sell toys to get whatever,
Yeah.
and the video game just so happens to be in the category of toys.
Of one of the toys
So
that
it's
you
just
can
like-
buy the. Like I always think of like the likes of fucking Prince Caspian or something like that, you know. It's like just terrible games.
The
where they don't even
PS2
think about how to structure it as an actual
PS2 had
game.
loads.
The
of them.
PS2 era was really bad for that.
Was riddled with them.
really
Yeah,
bad with that.
it doesn't happen as much anymore. But I think it'd be funny then of the ones that we've played. Again, haven't played them all, and there could be like we might name one, and then could be one out there that's like no, definitively that is actually the best adaptation. But maybe we haven't played it. But of the ones you have played, which video game adaptation of a movie was the best one you've played, or was your favorite?
I can't choose.
Like this is a tough one.
Like I think there's a few that actually are decent, and I can't. I can't
I
choose.
tell
There's a
you-
couple that are all right. Like
I thought your question would be like the
we're
worst
speaking.
one we
We're
played.
speaking in general. Like for example, when we're talking about the movies, like I actually think the Lara Croft movie. Like I don't think that's dog shit. I actually think that's a good film.
Yeah, I
You know?
actually
not
forgot
an
about that
amazing
one.
film, but I think it's a
But
good
that's a
film.
good one. Yeah.
But the yeah, some video games, some of them are actually good or all right. Like
Yeah.
they're not all terrible, but generally they're not good. They're never your must play games. Like but are there any that stand out to you as already would hold in some sort of
Can we go
regard?
first, Derek?
I mean, actually, one of the James Bond ones, I can't remember, Tomorrow Never Dies or something like that, on PS1, that was actually really good fun.
That was good fun. I remember
That
playing
was
it.
good
Yeah,
fun.
that was actually alright.
The Transformers one was shite.
Yep.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
But because I'm going through them now, and I'm doing this thing where I'm thinking out loud, like you told me to do earlier.
Yeah. Go on
To
in.
fill out the silence. The only one I'm coming to really that was the best one was the Lego like Star Wars, the first Lego Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, those ones, yeah.
They count because they're Lego
They're
parody
really good.
adaptations.
Like, it is
I mean,
really-
they're
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I even
Come on.
think that's the best Lego game.
Lego Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
Prequel trilogy.
The prequel
one.
trilogy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. It was unreal.
Yeah.
I have a fondness for the Lego games. Like if we ever get to talk about your favorite multiplayer games, some of the Lego ones are actually going to be in there for me. I think they are gas crack, and I actually like the puzzle solving. And plus, I personally prefer multiplayer games where.
Well, it's
you're-
co-op more so than multiplayer.
And I prefer that. I
Yeah.
prefer playing in a room with someone and having a bit of crack and laughing about it.
Yeah.
And not really into the whole online battle arena thing. Like they can be fun, but they're never really my thing.
Well, with the battle arenas, you kind of end up you play it once and you've kind of just played it, and that's it.
So the Lego Star Wars one would be.
I'd have to go with that one. Yeah, because I don't think I've played that many, but those ones were very good at it. Most of the Lego movie adaptation ones were actually really good.
Yeah, the
Pretty
Lord of the
spot
Rings
on.
one was good crack as
Good,
well.
the Lord of
I'd
the Rings
say.
one was really good as well, because it is pretty much just straight up here's the movie, but just in Lego.
But a parody as well.
But a parody
Like they're
as well,
making
like-
fun of it as well. You know.
Diversion.
It's like they use one Legolas line from each film, and that's it.
Oh, I thought it was just
You know,
one for the
whole thing.
trilogy.
No.
No, it's-
So from each film, they take one Legolas line and let him have it.
Just my bow, and
So-
then
No, I think for the first one, he talks about there's a foul voice in the air when they're on
Yeah,
the
on the mountain. That's the first. That's the only line he gets for fella. There's a foul voice in the air. That he says he just comes and goes a diversion for Return of the King, and I can't remember what it is in Two Towers.
I think it is the
No, it's
Find your box.
it's the Gimli line. Yeah, it's
find
the.
your box. Yeah.
Should I describe it to you? Or would you like me to find your box? Yeah, it's that one.
But the funny thing about the foul voice in the air
Yeah,
is that it's not even a video. It's just while you're running
that's why.
across
Yes,
the
that's not a
mountain.
cutscene. That's why.
So it's just
that's
his-
in game.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
That's actually in game. The other two are cutscenes, but that one's in game. Yeah, that was good crack.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking the Lego ones.
I'm taking the Lego ones.
How about you, Adam?
All of them.
The Battle for Middle Earth on PC.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking badass, wasn't it?
Yeah.
An RTS. I mean, you can change your mind if you.
No, I'll keep
Because
the Lego
even
ones, I'll keep
the-
Lego ones.
Am I
Like-
quoted to saying that?
The Lord
Can we
of the Rings
delete that?
ones, I thought like the Two Towers on PS2 as well is actually decent.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good one. But the Battle for Middle Earth, I remember that was like my dream game. I remember like after this came way after the Lord of the Rings films
Yeah.
have been out for a while. And I remember I was like kind of wanting to get into the games industry just so that one day I could make an
Right.
RTS version of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was like my dream. And then EA made the game, and I was like, oh, Grant, I don't have to now.
I could change
And
career
I
path.
It was actually like it was solid.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah, it
that
was
game
really good.
so much. I'm so sad that it's stranded on, like, you can't really play it anymore. And that's just due to, because EA don't have the rights anymore. So they can't
Right.
Downloads with the wink to EA and be like, hey EA, you make it.
Yeah, it's a bit,
There is someone making one though.
yeah, there is a studio, but you see, because it's all under Warner Brothers now, I think.
Oh, it's all
the-
Warner Brothers games now. Yeah. That's right.
I think they have the rights to Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth stuff. So, like, EA did have it. That's what the Two Towers, Return of the King, Battle for Middle Earth was all under EA, but then they lost it, so they can't resupply them. So unless you have a really old PC and that on disc, there's no way of playing it.
Yeah.
They did have the second one did come out on Xbox 360.
That's
So,
right.
I don't know, but that may work through back compat maybe. So
Yeah,
like the second one could be played, but it's the first one that's missing.
But the second one does. It's
Second one's not the same.
Nah,
The
yeah,
first
No,
one is
some
just.
of its gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, it was
is-
so good. I remember. Yeah, sinking hours into
doesn't
that game. Like.
feel like the same game either, really, because it's so
Second one, no, not
different.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. That I like, and it's bang on the film. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Really.
Except Boromir gets to survive.
The only
That's
thing
nice.
is, but as well, sometimes you're like, we're about to do the epic battle of Helm's Deep, but first, some farming. Yeah. Sometimes there's like farms being set up where you're like, what the? Like, I'm in Lothlorien. What's going on? Why am I?
yeah.
But look, that doesn't matter. That's all game mechanics. It was a phenomenal game. I enjoyed even just doing, the little makeshift skirmishes you could do that weren't in the campaign.
Oh,
You could
yeah.
like choose which army you want to play.
I thought
as.
another one as well, apart from the
Sounds
Lord of
like-
the Rings, that really stood out to me was the King Kong game on 360, because
Yeah, brother. I was about to say that.
oh,
one.
were you? Take it away, Chris.
Take it away, brother. Yeah, no, because like Battle of Middle-earth I enjoyed, the Lego ones I enjoyed. Return of the King was actually another one. I actually am one of the few people that prefers the Return of the King game to the Two Towers game. Don't know why. I just really enjoyed some of the adventures in it that you didn't see in the film, like being Sam and going through Shelob's lair. I loved that. I thought that was so cool. But King Kong, I fucking loved that game.
Oh, yeah.
I remember and we played on the Xbox 360, but I remember when they showed it off, like, video games based on films didn't get that kind of attention and they actually displayed this and like check out the graphics and it was the mission where you're on the raft and the T-Rexes are coming and you're throwing the things and then it comes in and people are like, whoa, that looks fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it turns out I did a bit of research and it turns out Peter Jackson got involved.
Oh yeah,
He wasn't happy with some of the Lord of the Rings games, basically,
Yeah.
because he was like, you haven't really thought about how the game should work in terms of mechanics and all. Even though I actually thought they worked quite well, but so he actually was involved in some of the decisions they made in that game, and he kind of okayed a lot of it. But the idea, like when you make a King Kong game, your first thought might be, okay, well, we should play a game where you control King Kong. I think that would be the fun
Yeah.
part. So the fact that they went, no, the interesting aspect of this is playing as the human survivors on this fucked up island, picking up, like, I loved picking up the wooden spears or the little bones and fighting off giant insects and dinosaurs and throwing them to create diversions. And it was kind of survival horror in a way, and just being on this kind of adventurous dinosaur island, like, it was like, this
Yeah.
is fucking insane.
And it's one of the first games, I can't recall, but I think it's one of the first that would have like zero HUD, like full on immersion. Like there's
Yeah.
no health bars, there's no
Yeah, yeah,
map,
yeah.
there's no inventory or whatever. Like your player would say, "Oh, I only have 5 shots left." Like he would shout that out.
Yeah.
So that tells you as the player, like, yeah, you're running low, so you may need to pick up ammo and stuff, or I'm all out. Like and it was the actual voice actor, like the
They
actors
used the voice actors from the and
did actually voice
Yeah.
in the game.
And they just kind of focused the whole thing on like survival.
Yeah.
And I thought it really worked. And then they had moments where you play as King Kong, and those are fun. Bash the shit out of things and fight a big boss as King Kong and rip a T-Rex's mouth open, and you go, this is rad. I remember when they were doing the Transformers ones, and I was like, oh, like this was before the game had actually come out, but when they had announced the Transformers
Yeah.
game, I was like, they should definitely take a note out of what King Kong did. They should have like you play as the humans in first person and do these big military campaigns, and then when you turn it into the Transformers, it's third person, and bashing and shit, and they didn't do that at all. They ignored the human element, and it's like you're kind of missing some of the interesting stuff that's going on. Like one of the interesting things happening in the Transformers franchise, if you find it interesting, is the human interaction with these alien machines, right? Like that's some of the interesting aspects of that franchise. And then in King Kong, one of the interesting things that Peter Jackson pointed out was like humans on this island and seeing these things that they'd never seen before and encountering new creatures. And I just thought it was a really good game. That like it was like you could actually enjoy that game regardless of the film. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have to.
It was actually a class game.
Yeah, it was fun. But I think the three like the Lego ones are solid. Battle for Middle Earth, come on. And then King Kong I think was fucking great.
So we started off saying all of them were shit. We ended up going, oh, look at all these great ones.
It's actually all amazing. Uncharted the King is very good.
That's why I was saying that. Like I don't know how he could pick, because there is a few that I actually thought worked quite well, and there was the Lord of the Rings ones, King Kong, the Lego ones always are good crack. What?
He just gave a big thumbs up to the camera. Sponsored by Legos.
What was the other ones that were coming to mind? But
Revenge of the Sith. I didn't really enjoy that one that much.
No, those ones weren't great.
But
some of the Star Wars ones are good. Like I thought the pod racing one actually was pretty decent on the N64.
Oh, yeah. The Phantom Menace on PS1.
GoldenEye is known as one of the fucking best first-person shooters ever.
Well, to be honest, right? You know what I was saying? We can only talk about the ones that we've played, and there's probably one out there that's definitive. GoldenEye is probably definitively the best one.
Some of those Bond games actually were fairly decent. So there is a lot of crap, but some of them stick to the board.
Yeah, some of them just
but it's still crap.
Focus on but it's a crap board. It's a shit board, really.
Yeah,
I suppose the key is when you're making a film to focus on making a really good movie, and when you're making a game to focus on making a good game.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy, I know, but
that's mental. But I think that like the things that I liked about like the King Kong one or those Lord of the Rings ones was that the designs and the music and everything, like you feel like you are in the film. Like it all looks familiar.
Yeah.
But when you play The Path of Neo, and that
was a weird one.
Yeah, you're a very weird one. Like. It's a good game. It is a good game. But there's the bit where you're doing the Merovingian thing, and it's like Alice in Wonderland kicking the shit out of ants. It's like, what?
But even like, okay, so even if they like, because they do like an Alice in Wonderland type thing, right?
Yeah.
With the checkboards and everything, and that's actually fine because in the first movie there's a huge Alice in Wonderland reference anyway with the whole Follow the White Rabbit thing and all. But like, why not have you fighting? I don't know.
Like cards,
like
or something?
Cards, or like that would still be weird, but at least it would be somewhat referential. Or fighting people with rabbit heads or something weird like that. The ants, what's like? That's got nothing to do with anything. Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Do any of you remember when
what are you doing? Like, why the ants actually do kung fu and stand in the what? It's dog shit. That's dog shit.
I think it's when you clear the game, you watch the whole credits, the Wachowskis come on. They were like, I hope you enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
Here's a fun little bonus mission, and it brings you back to the end last fight. Neo standing in a broken building.
They rewrote the game,
all the Agent Smiths join together and make a big giant robot fucking Agent Smith thing.
Yeah, for you to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought that the kind of metaphorical end battle of the film wouldn't have been fun enough, so they
for a game,
and they decided to do a giant boss fight that was fucking shite. Like
I thought you still fought him the same way though, but that was like
you did, but that wasn't like they did this as a final fight thing. It's like what? Like honestly, you could have just ended it and I would have been happy. This is weird.
I must say the Enter the Matrix was definitely a better Matrix game.
Yeah. No, I preferred Path of Neo.
Whoa!
Yeah, definitely preferred Path of Neo.
I don't agree with that. No, I thought Enter the Matrix was definitely better.
Crazy.
But you know what? I would really dig a new Matrix game. And if they could be really clever and meta with like the whole thing of like you're entering the game kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Like they could be really clever with it. And if they wanted to implement VR, they could be really clever with the way they market.
Yeah, they could use a lot of different like techniques and stuff.
But imagine like updated graphics and like, and I don't think based on the films in any way. I think like playing as your own character in the Matrix world.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads you could do with
so much
the
you could
Matrix. You could be off of one of the other ships.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
were they
You could
doing?
even be in a different timeline. It doesn't even have to be, you know, because the Matrix has been rebooted.
Yeah.
Also, if they don't call the next Matrix the Matrix Rebooted, they are fucking crazy. Like, that is a perfect title to both reboot the series, but also it's a sequel because the Matrix itself has been rebooted. You know, that's just I'm a genius. Although that's probably been floating around on the internet for ages. The last thing then I wanted to ask you guys.
Okay.
Still on the topic of video games and movie adaptations or vice versa. But if someone came to you and they had all the money in the world and they said, we would like you to decide which game is adapted into a movie, which one would it be? And very briefly, how might you go about doing it? I don't mean the plot synopsis or anything, but like if you were deciding, it would be this one of the series that I decide to focus on, or you know what, I wouldn't focus on the story of the game at all, or and it could be one that they're already doing, right? It could be one that's been already greenlit, but you're like, I would do Uncharted, for example, but I would cast an older Drake and I would follow the actual plot of Drake's Fortune or whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, there's
Of
so
all the games.
much games. Like, it's easier, I think.
This doesn't. By the way, this doesn't mean that you if you pick one, you never want any other one.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it is something that you want to choose wisely because it's like, although it works great as a game, like like Hitman, for example, I think that it's a terrible idea to make that into a film.
I was puzzled by why they did.
Yeah, like why is that a film? Like it's bonkers. Like,
You could do a TV show of Hitman, though.
well, it's like there's just not enough there really to make an, you know, and they proved it.
He's bald and he kills people.
No, there's loads, man.
I mean, I know there's a bit of a backstory to him, but like, you know, the Dark Angel TV show was fucking close enough to Hitman. You know what I mean?
I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm trying to think, like, is there any that I don't know if there's any that I would actually want. Like, I think The Last of Us is the only thing. The Last of Us and Metal Gear were like the only things was like this deserves some form of adaptation. Like, but I think doing an animated Legend of Zelda, I think is surprising that that's never been done.
Like a Pixar type thing.
Like there was the YouTube fan
That was
video.
That was amazing.
Of the Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
and I think the tone was right, the art style was correct. I think that could work, and it has such a wide appeal because if you do live action, there's something about going live action where you're trying to say I'm trying to appeal to a certain audience, like age, let's say,
Right. Yeah.
But that age group is just not going to take it seriously unless you take it seriously. Right, but a lot of them don't end up that way because they're still trying to appeal to children. So I think going the animated road, you can appeal to both, much like the Disney stuff, or even something like Shrek. The way like that's able to appeal to both. And video games are animated anyway.
Yeah.
So it's odd. Like, I mean,
It's a natural progression, really.
Like the Kingsglaive or even Avon Children. Like those show that. It's fine. It works. It works animated. It doesn't have to be live action.
Yeah.
I think going live action, you're trying to sell it more. You're trying to make it more visceral, more real.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the Last of Us and stuff, and even The Witcher, do need to be live action because you're trying to sell it that type of tone. But if you're not trying to sell that tone, then just go animated. So maybe I would say maybe.
And would you go for a certain adaptation of any particular Legend of Zelda, or would it be like it could be its own original story? Because Legend of Zelda changes every time, you know. Link.
It could, like, I mean, you can do its original story, but I think if you're going to do the Legend of Zelda, you got one shot at this. You do it. Like, I mean, you'd be fucking mad not to do the Ocarina of Time,
right? Yeah.
You're gonna say that.
Yeah. No, but it's true. Like, it's like if this is the only one I can ever make, and it might not go well, which one should I do? You know, that way, as opposed to going, I'll get there when I get there. It's like, you might not get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a missed opportunity. Though.
It's kind of like, like with the Metal Gear Solid one that's going to happen down the line. God knows what it's going to be like, but it's like, would you do Metal Gear 1 and go, oh yeah, we'll get the Metal Gear Solid later, or go, I've got one shot at this. I'm going straight for Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
of course
you want to go to
right?
Shadow Moses, definitely.
Go straight to Shadow Moses and stay there. And don't you dare go to Brooklyn. Don't you dare go to the Middle East and tell me war has changed. You hold off on that shit.
Yeah.
And you just make MGS1. Sorry.
Selena Yars can be a distant dream. Stay in Shadow Moses.
Stay in Shadow Moses, man. Find out a con. Kill Meryl. Okay. I'm only joking. I'd like her to survive. I prefer that ending.
I don't know, man.
I know, yeah.
Brutal ending when you...
If you think about it, like, it's like, oh, people would be talking about this now. This is like a gut punch of an ending, right? It's like the girl doesn't make it. But also, Meryl's a cool character, you know? And...
Shy.
I thought you said shy really slowly. As it was a she, alright. Shy. Okay, Eric, is there... I know there's probably a few, but is there a game in particular that you're like, oh, if I had to get one into a movie...
I'm going to be shocked if it's not Infinity Blade.
I mean, you have no idea how rich that is.
It's either going to be that or
that one.
Either that or XCOM. Let's flip a coin.
It was going to be XCOM.
Was it really?
No, okay. As a film, because you just asked film.
Yeah, but you could, and if you want to add in TV shows, of course you can. Yeah.
So if it was like, if they came, had all the money in the world and went film, I'd go Mass Effect.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, that kind of works. That actually kind of works.
Yeah, well, I would do Mass Effect as a show, as a high budget show, because I just think of the way all those little side quests and all the characters' personal missions and all that kind of stuff. I think it would work really well as a sci-fi show.
Why not both?
Why not all of
Why
the
not
things?
just really long films?
Yeah. Movies that
You
don't
could do,
work.
but I just think because they're
Like,
such a big
especially-
cast, I think a show would work so well.
The first one, if you just take the main story, is nearly about the length of a film anyway.
Oh yeah, I
And
suppose,
the cast of characters are small enough.
Yeah.
to be-
the first
to
one
be-
could definitely be.
Yeah.
a film.
So again, if I had like one off, just do the film. That's grand. And then if it does well, I can do the other ones,
Yeah.
and I can make them longer and whatnot. And yeah, you would have to. I see. I'd probably have to leave. I'd leave out all the loyalty missions from the second game.
Oh no, I know you would if
Yeah.
you were making a film, but that's the only reason I would lean towards a show for Mass
Yeah.
Effect. I think it
Now,
leans itself that way.
For a TV show, I would go XCOM.
Right.
Because I think it has that, because people love that the unpredictability that TV shows can have. Like, you think everything's gonna be okay, and then all of a sudden everyone dies, and they're like, "What?"
Is there much leg room?
Huh?
Is there much leg room to make a TV show with XCOM? Like, where does it go?
Right. So I actually broke it down. Right.
Okay.
He's
So
done this already.
At the moment, it's 4
All I
seasons.
was wanting a yes. I just wanted a yes.
Okay.
No,
well,
at
it
the
has
moment
leg
it's
room.
4 seasons.
At the
Go on,
moment,
tell
it's
us
4
about it.
seasons, man.
Okay.
So the first one is. I was like,
Are you seriously gonna break this down? I just wanted to make sure. Yes.
No. Let him break it down. And also, who's in it and what else were they in?
I haven't got the cast yet. So the first season is Enemy Unknown, which was the first XCOM game
Yep.
released. Then you do second season Enemy Within. So
Yeah.
actually the first 2 seasons is the first game.
Yeah, okay.
And then you do the second season ends with XCOM failing. Third season 20 years later, it's called XCOM The Long War, which is actually based on a very famous mod,
Right, okay.
which is known as The Long War. And then you do fourth season of XCOM War Chosen, which is then the end of XCOM 2. So at the moment, that's what I have.
That's what
Found
you. Okay. That's what you're. That's what you're going with. You're gonna bring that to which studio?
He said someone came to me.
Yeah, someone comes to him.
Oh,
man. Yeah. Someone comes in with all the money. It doesn't matter.
I'm thinking Screen Gems.
No!
I was thinking Netflix. Netflix takes anything nowadays.
Really? I wouldn't go to Screen... I wouldn't go to Screen Gems with...
With anything.
No, that would... There's some stuff that I think is suited to them, but keep video games away from them. Like, it's a bad idea. Do you know what I was just thinking there, actually? Because when we were talking about Mass Effect and whether you do a movie or show is irrelevant, really, in terms of...
Yeah.
You would anger people no matter which one you do. Do you know why? You'd be making a decision about who Shepard is and also what decision Shepard makes. You would be writing them, and no matter what you do, it'd be like, well, that's not what my Shepard did. So there would be an element, like, I think people
There's a
would
trickiness to
be
it.
really excited for Mass Effect, but as soon as they saw it, they would realize, oh, I didn't think about this though. They actually.
That's
have
why
to
I feel
make
like this
decisions that
Fallout
they can't
TV
make.
show seems a bit.
That's a weird one.
Like, why Fallout?
I think they're obviously just interested in the setting more than. Like, it's probably not going to follow any of the games, really.
Yeah.
Other than.
Fallout's more about the world, so as long as they get the world correct.
Yeah, no, but I
think
can't
so.
even imagine like doing like even an Elder Scrolls TV. Like, the fun of the game is actually playing it, like playing,
Interacting with
like
it.
surely Borderlands is a much more interesting world and character than Fallout.
Well, it's why it's always like there are certain games that you're like, yeah, that would make a great movie, and then there's certain games where it's like, this is a perfect game.
Yeah,
You know, where it's like, even if this was a book, it wouldn't be as compelling because the whole enjoyment of it is my interaction and my choices in it. And if you make a film of that, you're taking all of that away because the person
Yeah.
making it is going to have to make those choices.
Doom is a great example.
Doom is a great example. That was Screen Gems as well, was it?
I don't know, probably.
It looks like
I
it.
mean, yeah, that looks like their kind of thing.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Screen gems stamped all over it.
It's,
So what's yours?
I've actually spoken about this many times before.
To who?
Loads of
Me.
people. Loads
You?
of people. Eric is one of them actually.
I am.
He already knows what it is. If it was all the money in the world, and it wouldn't, I would be a bit bold here. I wouldn't go one film. I'd be like, you need to greenlight a trilogy here, man, and you got to go with me on this. But I would make a live action trilogy of Final Fantasy VII
Oh, yes.
because this is gonna be weird. I don't think that game is popular enough. I think, right? Hold on.
That should be in
I
the
don't know, like,
curriculum.
So, yes.
People need to
People
study
need to
this.
know this shit. People,
Just
I know
study it.
people have like said that they don't like Final Fantasy VII because too many people like it, right?
Yeah, they're wrong.
Yeah, I think that game is underappreciated, even by the people who love it. They don't love it enough.
I
man.
agree. I actually agree. I don't think I get enough Final Fantasy VII in my life.
Well,
I'm gonna go home right now and play
but,
it.
yeah, you should. But
I should.
I do think, right, that Cloud and Sephiroth and Tifa and Barret should be as iconic as the characters from Star Wars, the characters from Lord of the Rings. Like, I know in the video game world, everyone knows them. I feel like everyone should know these characters. I think they could be huge, and I would approach the game. I would take the game as if it's the 3 Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah,
And I would approach it very much like the way Peter Jackson and Fran and Philippa approached writing the Lord of the Rings in terms of, let me get the core bits I need to get in, let me move the things I can move, but tell that actual quest. I wouldn't do any of this shit like, I'm rewriting it. As long as there's a guy with a big sword, it's fine. No, right? It starts with fucking nearly scene for scene remake of the opening because that opening is iconic, and then you put in what you can put in and you take out what's not necessary because there's a lot of, you don't need every fight in the game, you don't need every town necessarily in the game. Like, do you need to go to Gongaga? Probably not, right? You can learn about Zack's backstory without going to Gongaga. You don't have to go there. But I would break it down that way, and I would make it in such a way that each time it ends on a cliffhanger that there's another one coming. There would be big budget, fucking nearly 3 hour long movies, Lord of the Rings style. Like, Lord of the Rings would be my framework essentially.
that should be everyone's framework. To be honest,
It should. The complicated thing will be the title. It can't be called Final Fantasy VII, so it has to be just called Final Fantasy and then have its own little subtitle, because otherwise people are going to be like, what?
where's the other 6?
It's like, I haven't heard this lunacy since George fucking Lucas. Are you making them later? So, but that, yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 too? What the hell?
What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, you couldn't do that. And then it'll get confusing when people are watching and it says based on the video game Final Fantasy 7. They're like, I fucking missed the other 6. But, yeah.
That was very confusing when they started doing that in Final Fantasy.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, 10-2 and 13-2 and all this.
Yeah.
It was
But
silly.
that is the one. I would adapt that into a trilogy with a proper budget. This can't look like cheap Screen Gem shit. Yeah.
Poor Green
Yeah,
Gems.
no, sorry. I actually enjoy a lot of films, but you don't want to see Cloud on screen and go, well, that's clearly a wig. Gotta get that shit right.
He has to grow his hair.
Someone has
like that.
The hair gel department is gonna be fucking nuts for this film.
Yeah.
You know where people tell stories about how long it took them to get into makeup for characters? This time it's gonna be like
This has to
the
top
hair
it.
department.
This has to be in
This
the
is gonna be
Guinness
fucking
World Records.
crazy. Yeah,
For
I don't want to
get
see
it.
Longest time.
Yeah.
You get a.
I don't want to CGI Red 13. Someone's
No.
got to get into that fluff suit
Yeah.
and go right on all fours. Okay, no. Okay, sorry. Let me dial it back a bit.
So it would be live action.
Oh, it would be live action.
Oh man, that's
It's a challenge.
can't imagine
me wrong.
Sephiroth looking right.
It would be a challenge. I had said that as well. I was like, he just wouldn't get it right. And then there was something about, not that I would cast this actor, but when I was watching the Hobbit trilogy, when I saw Thranduil, I saw him and I went, I think you could pull off a rendition of Sephiroth. Actually, he looks awesome and he's got silver hair. Pretty much.
With black eyebrows. Really thick black.
No, but
eyebrows.
I was sold on him, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? Maybe it's not as ludicrous, because I was like, yeah, the designs, that's the thing that you're going to write it off. It's like, it couldn't happen.
Follow @Ludacris on Twitter.
Yeah, Ludo.Chris. But yeah, no, it's like, after seeing some films and what they actually get away with and bringing, I think as well, like Marvel have shown that sometimes taking the actual adaptation to screen can work. And you can go, oh, people actually like it because of the way it was, not because, you know what I mean?
Why didn't
Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, it's nuts. It's like, I remember, like, obviously X-Men, you know, when I started off, they're great films and they're a great rendition of the X-Men, but the weird black costumes are strange. And you go,
Yeah, like it suited the time.
suited the time, but when you saw, I remember there was like a deleted scene for the Wolverine or something. When
Yeah,
he opens
you
the
get the
box
actual
and you see
suit,
the
yeah.
actual Wolverine costume, you go, yeah, why did they just do that? Because it actually looks fucking great.
Yeah.
like Wolverine
Great.
looks cool.
And
you
then
know?
they never used it at all.
It's like Batman looks his coolest when they go for it and they make a fucking Batsuit
Yeah.
and they make a fucking Batmobile,
Yep.
because that's what people like about Batman. You know, it's like his shit looks cool. You know.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm gone off on a rant there now. But yeah,
What are we talking about?
I think we're talking about
Talking about
games
XCOM.
and movies and shit. weren't we?
Yeah, just talking about
Oh,
XCOM.
no.
my plan.
But I think that pretty much sums up actually our conversation on movie adaptations of video games, our favorites, which game versions of movies are our favorites, and then also which ones we think deserve movies. There's loads more though. There's loads more. I'm fully on board with the Metal Gear Solid one, but fuck me, they better get it right. That's another one. If I was the green, I would green
Yeah.
like that. But I'd be like,
Yeah.
you better follow this shit, man.
Yeah, to a T. I
To-
want all the codec sequences. We want to sit there and we just see two green faces on the screen.
Mad if I see a codec screen.
You'll be the only one happy. You'll be just be like the cinema, just be like silence. You just be like, yes.
No, it'll be like you know in Avengers when Captain America's like, I get that reference.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I get it. I get it. You think it's shit, but I fucking, that guy's a genius.
Like, what are you doing?
What are you-
Codec looks just like
It
that.
looks just like that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll stop nerding out now.
Yeah.
That sums up our conversation for this episode. Do get in touch to let us know your own favorite video game adaptations, either from movies or games of movies, and also which game or game series would you like to see adapted into a movie or a TV show or an animated feature or adapted in some sort of way.
Between
Let us
5 to 1,000 words.
Please submit your essays to the
It
winning.
sounded like you're giving
It
people
did
an
actually,
assignment.
yeah. The winning prize is I
love
Yeah.
the
I'll accept-
between 5. It's a small number.
5 to
Between
1,000.
5.
So it's like, as long as the title is 5 words, you'll get away with that too, you know.
And your name.
You
Pass.
Well done. Yeah, I think we should end it there, should we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. All right. Boom.